A bullet doesn't care about celebrity status. And for these stars, the flashing lights of Hollywood were suddenly replaced by the flashing lights of an ambulance. The world watched in shock as their lives hung in the balance.
There was a pre-VMA party in Los Angeles, and a rapper by the name of Suge Knight got shot 6 times.
Some were targeted out of jealousy, others were caught in the crossfire of fate, but all of them came face to face with death and lived to tell the tale.
The day pop artist Andy Warhol was confronted by a radical feminist named Valerie Solanas.
Today, we're looking back at celebrities who were shot and survived. Nine bullets. That's how close the world came to never knowing the name 50 Cent. In May 2000, before the fame, the record deals, or the millions, Curtis Jackson was sitting in a car outside his grandmother's home in Queens when a gunman opened fire. Bullets tore through his hand, arm, chest, legs, and even his face, knocking out a tooth. Doctors thought he wouldn't make it, but 50 Cent proved them wrong. After spending 13 days in the hospital, he walked out, alive, but changed. The shooting wasn't just a near-death experience, it was a rebirth. He used the pain, the paranoia, and the lessons from the streets to fuel his music. 3 years later, Get Rich or Die Tryin' dropped, and the rest is history. 50 Cent turned survival into an empire, proving that sometimes getting hit isn't the end. It's just the beginning. Imagine being a child, just 12 years old, and facing a moment so dark that you see no way out. This was the reality for Dwayne Michael Carter Jr., now known worldwide as Lil Wayne. Growing up in New Orleans' rough Hollygrove neighborhood, Lil Wayne discovered his passion for rap early. But his journey was filled with challenges. At 12, overwhelmed by personal struggles and his mother's disapproval of his rap dreams, he attempted to take his own life, shooting himself in the chest with a .44 caliber gun. The bullet narrowly missed his heart. As he lay bleeding, emergency responders initially rushed past him, searching for drugs and weapons instead. But one officer, Robert Uncle Bob Hubler, refused to let him die. He picked up the young rapper, carried him to a police car, and rushed him to the hospital. That act of kindness saved his life. Lil Wayne later revealed this incident in his music, explaining how it shaped him. He used his second chance to dominate the hip-hop industry, becoming one of the most successful rappers in history. His story isn't just about survival, it's about resilience, transformation, and turning pain into purpose. On the night of July 12, 2020, what should have been a fun evening turned into a nightmare for Megan Thee Stallion. After leaving a party in Hollywood Hills, an argument inside a car escalated and gunshots rang out. Megan, bleeding from her feet, managed to walk away, but the world wouldn't know the full truth until much later. At first, Megan downplayed her injuries, fearing police retaliation. But as speculation grew, she revealed the truth. Rapper Tory Lanez had shot her. The trial that followed was brutal. Megan faced relentless online attacks and victim blaming. But in December 2022, justice was served. Lanez was convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison. Megan's resilience turned pain into power. She didn't just survive, she thrived, using her voice to advocate for Black women and victims of violence. Her story is a testament to strength, proving that nothing can break her. Few figures in hip-hop are as feared or as bulletproof as Suge Knight. The founder of Death Row Records, Suge was instrumental in shaping West Coast rap, but his legacy is marked by violence, controversy, and multiple near-death encounters. It started in 1996, the night Tupac Shakur was gunned down in Las Vegas. Suge was driving the car when bullets tore through it. One even grazed his head. Yet, despite the chaos, he survived. Nearly a decade later, in 2005, outside a Miami nightclub during an MTV Awards party, he was shot in the leg. But that wasn't the end of his brushes with death. In 2014, at a pre-VMA party hosted by Chris Brown, gunfire erupted in a packed nightclub. Sug was hit 6 times in the stomach and arm, staggering through the chaos as partygoers ran for cover. Once again, he survived. Suga's story is one of power and destruction, from launching careers like Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg to running death row like a mob boss. But in the end, it wasn't bullets that took him down, it was his own actions. In 2018, he was sentenced to 28 years in prison for manslaughter, proving even Suge Knight wasn't untouchable. January 28, 2013. Rick Ross was at the height of his career, celebrating his 37th birthday in Miami. But just hours after the party ended, reality hit like a bullet. Literally. While driving his Rolls-Royce through Fort Lauderdale with his girlfriend, gunfire erupted. A hail of bullets sprayed his car, shattering the night's festivities in an instant. With seconds to react, Ross swerved, losing control. His car plowed into a building, but by some miracle, he and his passenger emerged unharmed. Not a single bullet had touched him. The attack sent shockwaves through the industry. Was it tied to his past feuds? His affiliation with Miami's street legends? Some suspected a warning, others an assassination attempt. But Ross, he refused to let fear control him. Instead of hiding, he doubled down, securing more security, expanding his empire, and, of course, dropping more hits. What should have been the end of his story only made him stronger. Rick Ross didn't just survive that night, he turned it into another chapter in his legend. Because in the world of hip-hop, survival isn't just luck, it's the ultimate flex. June 3, 1968. The Factory, New York's infamous hub of creativity, chaos, and celebrity. Andy Warhol was there, as usual, wrapped in his world of silver walls and silk screens. Then, the unexpected, 3 gunshots rang out. Valerie Solanas, a radical feminist and fringe writer, had just pulled the trigger. Warhol collapsed, blood pooling beneath him. He was pronounced clinically dead for a moment. Surgeons spent 5 hours stitching him back together, his lungs, stomach, liver, and spleen torn apart. He survived, but the invincible Warhol was gone. Once the king of cool, he became paranoid, fragile, obsessed with mortality. The scars, both seen and unseen, followed him for the rest of his life. Yet even a bullet couldn't erase his influence. Warhol's art, his vision, his legacy, untouchable. As he once said, "In the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. But Andy Warhol, he remains eternal." Before he became an Oscar-winning director, Oliver Stone was just a young soldier thrown into the chaos of the Vietnam War. At 20 years old, he voluntarily enlisted in the U.S. Army, seeking purpose and a deeper understanding of the world. What he found was a nightmare of bloodshed and survival. In late 1967, Stone was shot in the neck during an intense firefight. The bullet could have ended his life, but he survived, earning a Purple Heart. Yet fate wasn't done testing him. Just months later, he was injured again by shrapnel. War didn't just leave scars on his body, it seared itself into his soul. These harrowing experiences would later define his films, bringing an unmatched authenticity to movies like Platoon and Born on the 4th of July. Stone channeled his pain into storytelling, exposing the horrors of war, political corruption, and the struggles of those who lived through it. Without his near-death experiences, Hollywood might never have seen the raw, unflinching narratives that made him a legend. Oliver Stone didn't just survive war. He transformed it into art, On March 6, 1978, a single shot changed Larry Flynt's life forever. The controversial publisher of Hustler magazine was leaving a courthouse in Georgia when a gunman fired at him and his lawyer. The attack left Flynt paralyzed from the waist down, forcing him into a wheelchair for the rest of his life. The shooter? Joseph Paul Franklin, a white supremacist enraged by Hustler's interracial content. Franklin later admitted to the crime, but by then, Flynt had already turned his pain into power. He doubled down on his fight for free speech, battling obscenity laws and censorship all the way to the Supreme Court. Flynt remained as bold and defiant as ever, saying the shooting only strengthened his resolve. His life was one of controversy, lawsuits, and revolutionizing the adult entertainment industry, but above all, it was a testament to survival. In the late 1970s, Teddy Pendergrass was at the height of his career. His deep, soulful voice and electrifying stage presence made him one of R&B's biggest stars, with hits like Close the Door and Love TKO topping the charts. Women flocked to his concerts, and his success seemed unstoppable. But on March 18, 1982, tragedy struck. While driving his Rolls-Royce through Philadelphia, Pendergrass lost control and crashed into a tree. Early reports focused on the accident, but the truth was even more shocking. Before the crash, he had been shot in what was believed to be an attempted carjacking. The bullet left him paralyzed from the chest down, and doctors doubted he'd ever walk or perform again. Yet Teddy refused to let tragedy define him. After years of grueling rehabilitation, he made a triumphant return, performing at Live Aid in 1985 and continuing to record music that moved millions. He became a symbol of resilience, proving that even in the face of life's harshest blows, the music never has to stop. Teddy Pendergrass didn't just survive. He fought, he thrived, and he inspired. His legacy remains one of strength, determination, and timeless soul. Surviving a shooting is more than just escaping death. It's a moment that changes everything. For some of these celebrities, it became a wake-up call, pushing them to change their lives. For others, it was a cruel reminder of how fragile life truly is. But one thing is certain, the scars, both seen and unseen, never fully fade. Which of these survival stories shocked you the most? Do you think fate had a hand in their survival, or was it pure luck? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more unbelievable true stories. Life is unpredictable, and as these stars proved, sometimes it's just a matter of inches between life and death.